So, hello and good morning, dear colleagues and friends. Thank you for joining our event. We're talking today about the conclusions of implementation of the program Housing for Internally Displaced Persons, funded by German government through Development Bank and KfW. So we have broadcast on Inform YouTube channel, and we also have Zoom. There is Ukrainian and English channels available. If you join through Zoom, you just select whichever language you want. So I will present the speakers today. Natalia Kozlovska, Deputy Minister of Development, Communities and Territories of Ukraine. Marcus Kohl, Head of the Department of German Embassy in Ukraine. Vitaly Shmeriga, Deputy Head of the KfW in Ukraine. Mykola Marchuk, Head of the Management of Youth Housing, and Grupa Plivu, a group of influence, is a civil society holding. Couple introductory words. Natalia Kozlovska. Happy to greet everyone here. Dear colleagues, we have gathered here today to draw the conclusions of the first conclusions of the proper housing loans with our partners from German Ministry BSZ through KfW in Ukraine, providing preferential mortgage loans for IDPs. From the start of large-scale invasion, we understand that Ukraine and attention to resolve the issue of housing for the IDPs is very important, and we understand that in order to provide sustainable housing for the Ukrainian IDPs, we work in several areas. Let me remind you that based on RDNA 4 assessment that Ukrainian government did together with the World Bank, 13% of housing fund is destroyed or damaged. Based on the data of Ministry of Social Policy, we have 4.6 million of IDPs. According to UNHCR, we have about 6 million Ukrainians currently residing in other countries. So it's an incredibly urgent issue. So what are we doing as a ministry? The first thing we concentrate is rebuilding the damaged or destroyed property so that people can get back to their houses in relatively safe regions. Second important is building socially affordable housing, and then we want to thank European Commission and European Investment Bank for developing this in Ukraine. The third important thing is preferential mortgage housing for IDPs, because for economically active citizens this is a very positive trend. And the next trend that I want to mention, we're working on designing the new case which will provide compensation for the impossibility to use their housing for those citizens who temporarily moved out of the temporarily occupied territory. So I hope that during the meeting in Rome we will be able to talk about more specific numbers in this very important project. Let me also give you some numbers about the e-recovery project that we're doing together with the World Bank and the Council of Europe Development Bank. About 97,000 families received assistance to restore their damaged property, and almost 20,000 families received compensation and bought housing instead of their houses destroyed. So we're moving. Ukraine is the first country that is in active warfare, and in parallel is conducting recovery projects, rebuilding projects to implement sustainable housing solutions, which is an unprecedented approach. And understanding the limited resources of the Ukrainian budget that is mostly servicing the military, we understand that sustainable housing solutions is a very important aspect. So the project showed how effective the loans, affordable loans for the IDPs, and it has a positive effect on economic activity of these people. So we want to extend it as a trend. And the future project, we hope that that we will be doing with Development Bank of Council of Europe, which have similar approaches, will allow us to gradually provide such assistance to the IDPs. I want to express deep gratitude to the government of Germany, the Embassy of Germany, and KfW for your support. We hope to implement further projects together, also aimed at problems of housing for the IDPs. So we wanted to draw some conclusions of a certain stage of this project so that we can move further in this aspect. Thank you so much, Natalia, for the introductory words. The key international partner of the project is Germany, and I'm going to invite Markus Kohl, head of the Cooperation Department of German Embassy in Ukraine.
Thank you very much, and it's a great pleasure to be here today. Natalia Kozlovska, the Vice Minister, already mentioned that we are facing a huge challenge. The RDNA showed the big destruction caused by the Russian aggression, and it was our aim to find solutions here. And for sure, the State Fund for Youth Housing is one of the important building blocks which we are using to provide housing to IDPs. We are very glad that we were able to provide overall, I think, 42.5 million euros as grants to kick off the endeavor, and it's impressive to see what the State Fund was able to do with this money, issuing more than 1,000 loans to family and covering more than 2,000 IDPs with housing. And I would like to thank you, first of all, the Ministry for this initiative, KfW for implementing it, the State Fund for all the tireless work they put into that, and I really appreciate what was achieved. And it's really a success story. It's a revolving fund which allows to take the money Ukraine receives to provide loans to economically active IDPs. They pay back their loans, and then the State Fund is able to reinvest the money they receive. So it's really a sustainable model, which I can just say it's one of the best case scenarios for development cooperation because it has a catalytic effect. So it's not just a one-off investment, it's really something which is then ongoing for the years to come. So as I said, one of the important building blocks which we are seeing here. Not the only building block. We had and also thank you for giving us this opportunity, a huge workshop on how to solve the housing or to address the housing issue in Ukraine, and we discussed all the options on the table, and we all agreed that we have to take all the different ideas and initiatives which we have, and then to cater the needs of specific groups of IDPs. And as I said, this is the one which is, I think, very suitable for the economically active IDPs. They can take the money, they can build up they can use their the loans and also build up property for themselves, and this is a great opportunity. Overall, I also saw that the majority of borrowers are female, which I think is also a great sign that we have also a gender component in the State Fund, which we appreciate. The project passed several audits, so we are also very pleased with the outcome of that. And of course, we are also very glad for the Council of Europe Bank, who provided an additional loan of 50 million for the State Fund for Youth Housing, really also making sure it's not just the revolving money, but really also fresh money which comes in to keep this project growing. So overall, thank you for all the support. I'm glad to keep into discussion how to further develop the housing sector in Ukraine. Germany will definitely play a role here, a crucial role here, especially as one of the biggest supporters of Ukraine. And I think also KfW was pleased with the program, but I think Vitaly will probably say something about this. So thank you so much. Thank you very much. Bye.
Thank you, Mr. Kohl, and we also thank the government and the people of Germany for being with us in this difficult time. Vitaly Shmiri, Deputy Head of the representation of KfW Bank in Ukraine. Thank you. I have a very simple role. I also have to thank everyone. So let me start with the words of gratitude. First of all, to the German government, because KfW is a development bank. It's an institution that works with public money, the money that the German government passes over to us. So for 2 million euro, as Marcus said, 2 phases of this project, grant money. Why is it important to mention that and remember about this? Because grant money are non-refundable funds. It's the funds that are given to Ukraine to be used here. So we had the task how to make this project effective, and we designed the idea of revolver fund. We imported it from energy efficiency projects in Ukraine because we wanted to reuse that money. And we had many proposals, to be honest, from Ukrainian banks, from consultants, regarding how to develop this project. We were suggested just to issue cash certificates or money certificates for 20,000 euro for a certain number of IDPs. We were suggested to work with state banks, but the interest rate was 7%, not 3% like state fund. We had offers to build housing, but KfW portfolio, using German public money, we wanted to create a balanced approach to focus on several groups of IDPs. And we have projects that we implemented together with international migration organizations. We have representatives from that organization. We're doing it together with Fund of Ukraine Social Investments. Those are the projects aimed at supporting people who are not economically active, who cannot afford their own housing and cannot even afford the rent. And during this project, we talked with the IDPs directly. We started preparing this project back in 2017 to 2018. In 2019, we went to the final approval because Ukrainian law provides a certain number of steps that have to be made before the agreement starts to be implemented. And when we talked to the IDPs, there was always a certain number, a certain percentage of the IDPs who said, hey, we want our own housing. We are tired of paying the rent. We are socially active people. We have micro businesses. We have enterprises. We have employment. We have enough salary. I want to have my own housing. So from city to city, when we talk to the people, we always saw and talked to these people. And we saw that by that time, the Ukrainian government has already started the project, and 100 million hryvnia were allocated, about 2 million euro at that moment. And thanks to Sergei Komertny, who is present here, he was very active, like knocking the doors of KfW, inviting us to visit the fund, to attend different conferences and workshops. And honestly, by that time, the DMG reputation was still resonating from Yanukovych times. But then we saw that there's new management, and Mr. Manotny is doing great things. We conducted our own audit. We saw that they really work transparently, that they really are capable of delivering the task, that there is reasonable representation, that there are positive feedback from people. And the most positive thing was that among different ministries that we talked to during this agreement, we found people who also earlier received loans from the fund, who knew the community and who shared their own personal feedback that it was indeed transparent and honest. So after the audit, it was a simple solution. We started this project together with the State Youth Housing Fund. One of the details, other than revolver fund, other than supporting economically active people, is a constant of talking, DMG representatives and Sergei from the beginning, and then Mykola, who's also present today, in different Telegram channels and WhatsApp groups. It's the only project from my personal experience, especially in the sphere of housing, where the head of state institution talks directly with the beneficiaries of the project, with the IDPs, answering to their questions, and there is a constant communication vis-a-vis, very open, very transparent. I am also signed up into some of these chats, so I see that from the very beginning, and it creates a very positive impression on us. So we want to first of all thank the German government for provided funds so that we can for cooperation with Ukraine. I want to thank the ministries. I want to personally thank Natalia for her leadership in housing policy, in designing the housing programs and implementing these programs. At the start of this project, we worked with the Agency of Supporting Donbass. Then it was the Ministry of Temporarily Occupied Territories. Then the Ministry of Reintegration. Then Ministry of Social Policy came to us. Then Ministry of Finance, Ministry of Infrastructure, Ministry of Regional Development. That each of them said, we are responsible for housing policy for IDPs. Imagine me, where there are 5 ministries, and each of them says, we want to manage the housing for IDP. So we're happy that it's all now focused, coordinated, and under the leadership of the Ministry of Development. It's going to be implemented. For us, it's the most critical moment in the modern Ukraine, because, you know, when there are too many responsible people, it's really chaotic. When there's one ministry, like Mr. Kuleva, Kozlovska, and everybody who's helping, we want to thank you for taking this commitment. It's a hard job, but somebody has to do it. So we want to thank the team of the Youth Housing Fund. You are the people talking to the IDPs. From my experience with talking with commercial banks and state banks, I know that the IDPs are not the categories that financial institutions want to work with, unfortunately. But you have always been very active. You have been lobbying the IDP interests. You are always on the front line in talking to them. So we thank the entire team. We want to thank Sergei and Mykola for continuing to work and doing this. So greetings to the IDPs also. We have the family who will share their own impressions. And I'm just very happy for the people who have this opportunity. When we designed this program, we wanted to avoid this Soviet heritage. We didn't want the queue of people standing in the queue. Our objective was always to create equal opportunities for everyone, regardless of when specifically you lost your housing, what your circumstances. If you're an IDP, you can afford this loan. Our objective was to create equal opportunities for everyone. Yeah, there are some shortcomings of random selection. There were people who didn't need that loan. Some misunderstood that it's credit, not a grant, that it's not free housing. We always work to improve this program. And today we are at the stage where we need to just sit down and see the results of our work, to see our portfolio of KfW in Ukraine, together with BMZ, with our Ukrainian partners, with Ministry of Development, to understand what are the subsequent steps. And the next steps, among other things, is supporting those beneficiaries who already received loans, plus those who will be eligible in the next phases. I already mentioned the colleagues from International Migration Organizations. We get with them together, we're developing the project. We want to support those IDPs who already took the loans from DMG, and they have their own small and medium enterprises, and they are entrepreneurs who need business support. And we have already first 7 selected participants who received grant support, also from International Migration Organization, to develop their businesses. And now we're thinking how to scale this project up, to support you not only in housing projects, but so that the IDPs can really grow their businesses. And finally, we're doing the study today, an analysis, how we're planning to cooperate in Ukraine in housing sector. For us, it's a key important sector. I have no doubt that Germany will remain with Ukraine in housing support, and also will continue the support. So I thank you all for having this opportunity to do this project and to see its positive results. Thank you, Vitaly. Thank you so much for important stress points. We understand that Vitaly Shmericha is from that circle of people who know everything about the program, because he was at the very initial phase. So you received some important data. Now you will see a video where we wanted to sum up some life stories of just a few families of those who received loans based on this project. So let's run the video. When we came to Vinica, we thought it was not for a long time, but we stayed for 3 years now. When I came to Kiev, I had only one pair of pants, sandals, and 2 t-shirts, and that's it. And I wanted my own room. And finally, one very good phone call changed our life for better. So I get this phone call, and they say, you won a loan. When we were at the notary and the documents were there and I had the keys, and I say, these are the keys to our house. So we left everything. We couldn't even take the winter clothes. So I was looking at the news and I saw my own name in the list, and I couldn't believe it. Then later they found us and we moved out of Kherson. For a long time I couldn't believe that such programs exist. And my mother-in-law convinced us and we submitted our documents. At some point I was almost hysterical. Like, we want, but we can't afford to rent a house. On one hand, yeah, it's a very happy thing and it's a chance for us. On the other hand, we didn't know till the end whether it's gonna work out, but it did. And I remember thinking, is it really happening to us? Is it really our home now? So when we started, when the war started, I approached my daughter and I said, wake up, it's war time. And she said, we're moving once again. I don't want to just move on all the time. So we believed at once, and we saw from different sources, from people who really received the housing. It's some kind of assuredness in the future. We know where we can live. You know, it was the feeling like we have our own house. It's unforgettable. The program really can change a lot of life for better. We're very thankful to the people who created this program and everybody who helped fund money for this project. So try your chances. Submit your application. Right, thank you so much. So the video was created in with implementation consultant, IPC company. We wanted to once again to dwell on this emotional stance and talk to families who received housing on the project. So Olena and Igor Lichman, let's come over here and share some of your personal experience of using this program. Greetings and thank you. Well, just a quick update. We are the IDPs from 2022. Our city was occupied in the first 5 hours from the large-scale invasion. Nova Kakhovka, it's still under occupation. Somewhere over a month, we were looking at the situation. We moved out, and all of our young generation of our family moved out, and my husband has some relatives at Kiev region, so we migrated over here and we started working. We rented an apartment and we started building our micro business like pet shops. And so I had to do PR, and I saw advertisement on Instagram that there are preferential loans for the IDPs. So I filled it out, and I just forgot about it. So we don't know. There's huge competition. Let's not fix on it. So in summer 2024, we were called by the State Youth Fund, and they asked to corroborate we're here, we can participate, and we wait for our chances. So February 2025, we received a phone call from their fund that our application won. And we couldn't believe for a while. We thought it's some kind of prank or something, but then we looked at the live feed, we saw our application, we called them back again, and we realized that it really works. It's a reality, and we started collecting documents, looking for apartment. It took about a month. We've collected all the documents as entrepreneurs. We found the apartment, so it took a month, and we did it. It's incredible. We are very thankful to the fund and to the state fund. So it created thank you for interest, for helping us collecting the documents. So it's a lot of patience, and I joined the words of thanks to the German government and KfW for creating this program, continuing it. For me, as a Ukrainian, as a citizen, it's incredible. It means that they believe in Ukraine, they believe in Ukrainians, and help us live and create life in. Thank you so much for your words. You see, it often happens, the woman of the house says everything. So we proceed to different dimensions of the program. Mykola Marchuk, head of the management of State Youth Fund. Mykola. And let's run the presentation. Hello, everyone. We are here on a very emotional note. I'm so happy that there's this opportunity. It's a lot of hope, and it's a lot of real assistance. So the program that we are implementing with KfW, but it's the only project funded by grant money that is aimed at supporting of IDPs. And at the start of this project, the bank has conducted certain analysis and certain study, and I'm so happy that as a result of the study, our institution was the executive partner of the project, and it's important. At the start of this project, we had a certain dialogue, a certain consultancy, and our German partners suggested a very simple registration. It's through DIA application, and we also used through DIA random selection. I want to say that at the start this idea was not very well perceived by the citizens, but in the process of implementation we realized together that it's an opportunity to be in equal conditions and have equal chances to have this support. And this random selection we do under supervision of our international consultant and the central executive branch and the banking representatives is happening online in real time on YouTube channel, and everyone can see how it's happening. After the winners are determined, we publish the list on the website, and then our consultants start working with attendees. So the conditions of the program, it's the most affordable mortgage housing for Ukrainians. These are the conditions. Fixed interest rate as 3% is so it's a long-term, up to 30 years of loan payback time. And the contenders, the IDP families, can use the program only when they don't have their own real estate and ownership. They also select their own housing, and which they can move in immediately. So from the very beginning of this project, we built our work to create maximum trust of all the participants to the program and organization. Who is the executive partner side. We've conducted thousands of roundtables, consultancies, phone calls, meetings, and that is now the result. As for results of implementation, I want to say that over the period of this program, we have used all grant money, and we managed to facilitate almost 1,500 people, families. So using the implementation consultants, our international partners, and KfW support, we managed to implement the new software which automates the process of servicing the loans, which changes number of policies and practices. We took a different look at risk management in our institution. Together with our partners, we changed organizational structure of the fund, and this strengthened a lot, made us much more understandable for our partners. Together with implementation consultants, we managed to support with additional grant services. 7 participants were selected, and they received grant money from International Migration Organization to develop their own businesses. Over the period of project, the project was audited by international companies. We did also a joint audit of Accounting Chamber of Ukraine and Germany. Based on the results of this audit, we had a very high assessment. The project is in full compliance with international agreements and the Ukrainian law. Also, the project has no analogies in Ukraine. It has the most affordable loans for IDPs and has a unique selection procedure. Also, I wanted to say that implementation of this project had a very positive impact on social and economic development of our country. It is providing IDPs with housing, and their families can now integrate in the host community, and the community can use their skills to strengthen their communities. And the project is stimulating the economically active IDPs, because paying loans motivates families to be more active, to develop their businesses and their business skills. And also the project is aimed at more details, de-shadowing of citizens' profits, because when we assess the documents, we only work with official revenues, which creates additional revenues for local and central budget. And also one of the key things here is that the project changes the trend to migrate from Ukraine. When people use this program, they no longer want to immigrate. And we have also cases where after the participating in the program, the families do come back from abroad and now live in Ukraine. Now, if we talk about the participants who use this program, we have a certain portrait of the borrower that we did together. And in most cases, those are hired workers, and part of them private entrepreneurs, and there's a small part of our borrowers who are individually employed, self-employed. So average age of families about 38 or 37 years old, and it's 3 family members, a husband, wife, and a child. So 59 square meters is the average size, and about 40,000 euros the cost of this apartment. We did analysis of the revenues of our borrowers, and about 55% of them are the borrowers who have no revenues above average salary. They can take this financial commitment, but without this support, they couldn't have afforded this housing using the available proposals of the market of mortgage loans. And about payments, which is very important. Now, the payment on the loan programs is much smaller than the rental payment of a similar apartment. So it's a completely affordable mechanism that is used by participants who can have this opportunity. So we understand that these initiatives is trusted by people, and people count for support, and this is proven by the registered list of candidates, about 35,000 registered in this list, and they are expecting this opportunity to use this chance. And I will also want to say that the project has its continuation. It doesn't stop. It's very important, and the Development Bank of Council Europe decided we received 50 million euro. We will be able to use it for affordable loans for the IDPs. And using this money in 2025, about 170 more families will be able to receive this kind of assistance. And also, there's a preparation process. We are preparing with the ministry the changes in the legal framework. Somewhere by the end of next month, we will have a next round of random selection, and we'll disburse more loans. We also cannot stop at this. We continue to work with other partners. We'll get them engaged in our joint work, and we want to thank the German Embassy for active stance, for constantly communicating with other international organizations, looking at the positive results. So we continue, and I hope that this work will remain very active, and we will be able to tell you about some great news about this project. And finally, I want to also thank the Ministry of the Development of Organisers and Territories, and personally Natalia Kozlovska, for constant support and your active stance. And I also want to thank our international consultant for their professionalism, for the lack of bias. I want to thank the team of the fund, who has conducted an incredible work to have this result. And I also deeply thankful to KfW and German government for making this possible. I'm confident that with joint efforts we will be able to do much more, and will show the best results that there can ever be. Thank you so much. Thank you. So, dear colleagues, we have the news that in a very short time the preparation procedures will be done, and the project Housing for the IDPs will continue. The Ministry of the Development of Organisers and Territories with the Youth Housing Fund. So let's now look at the program Housing for IDPs from a different angle, by consumer, by citizens. And Victoria Zaratuchina executive director of this civil society organization, holding of influence group. So she will present the study of socio-economic results of the families participating in the program. It's been done with the Office of Council of Europe in Ukraine. Thank you so much. Thank you. Yeah, so with the support of the Council of Europe, the second phase, our organization in June has conducted a study among the borrowers, a study about loans, and I want to share these first key results because the study itself has been done in June, so it's the freshest information of results of the work of this program. And the objective of our study was to measure the influence of the program onto different areas of the life of the IDPs, of the participants of the program, and how ownership of housing improve the social and economic adaptation in the host communities where they choose to live. And in the study, there were 647 respondents. Out of 1,503, those who received the loans, out of them 58% were women and 42% men. And I want to also stress that the survey was done online and it was completely anonymous, so people could fill it out and only select the answers they want to select. Next, I want to stress that among the surveyed IDPs, half of them were forced to relocate back in 2014, so 51%. And since 2015 till 2022, it's 22% that were forced to relocate. Since 2022, it's 27%. So why was it important for us to ask? Because when we saw this percentage and such a huge number of people were forced to relocate from 2014, we see that those families were they had to resolve their own housing issues, because based on results, 90% of the respondents were renting either house or room or apartment. So we understand that these programs of support for families, for the IDPs, they helped people to really solve their housing problems. And we've talked about it today in our surveys. People really show that currently rental is much more expensive than the monthly payments for these loans. Next, the main objective was to identify what's the influence, what was the impact of buying their own house, buying their own housing. And we have great results now already, very positive, because we see that 92% of the surveyed show that they have improved their housing conditions. We understand that their previous experience of having rented a housing was less comfortable, much less comfortable than the house they bought with the loan. 93% say that buying their housing had a positive impact on their emotional state. 77% show that buying their own housing has had a positive influence on their opportunity to plan their future. And 61%, which is also important, said that they started feeling the sense of belonging to the community where they actually bought this house or apartment. But still, we understand that other than having housing, a person receives a loan commitment. They have to pay monthly payments. And for us, it was important to know how loans impact the life of the IDPs. And this is where, surprised as we were, but it's those are very positive results, because the survey, We thought that would be much it was more negative for some people, but we see that only 11% of respondents said that the loan has a negative impact on their emotional status, the fact that they have to pay money every month. But 19% said that there was no emotional impact, and 12% felt a negative impact on their basic needs being met. That the monthly payment has certain impact on the basic needs of their family, and 34% has no impact for their basic needs whatsoever. So it's a quite great result. Other than that, we also wanted to learn how the availability of their own housing and the lengthy stay in a certain community has an impact on the quality and access of the IDPs for the services such as social, administrative, educational, medical. So a certain list of what we're using every day. And we also saw some general trend in all the services that half of the respondents showed that the situation with access and the quality of services has improved, and half the respondents didn't show any significant changes after they bought the housing. Impact on quality and accessibility of services. Next, we talked about it already, but other than a very important issue with housing and other needs of the IDPs and people affected by the war, for Ukraine, we all understand that a very important problem is human capital and economic resilience and the development of the future. And we all understand that the state has to facilitate and help people to grow their potential, to provide them the opportunities to stay in Ukraine, to be able to develop, to grow, to develop the country. And we saw that this program of these loans has a positive impact, because 21% of the people who bought the apartment, and they changed their mind to return to the previous place. 18% changed their mind to move abroad, and a huge percent, 46% and 51%, are young people, so from 18 to 45. And in the same context, we asked about their plans for the future in the nearest 6 to 12 months, and also quite valuable results we've seen, because only 1% of the surveyed respondents have the intention to move abroad, and 83% of the people who bought the housing using this program are not planning to move out, and 15% still don't know. But we all understand that 15% it's also related to general situation in the country, not so much the housing issues. Also, we believe it's a very important indicator that out of the surveyed, 58% respondents, they have underage children. Why is it important? Because we understand that 58% of families most probably in the nearest future will not move around, and the people and the children in those families will not have additional stress through relocation. And at the same time, 16% of respondents say that their children have fully adapted to the new environment where they now stay. And in conclusion, about some numbers and figures, I wanted to give you some general picture that in general 90% of the surveyed IDPs are satisfied by the fact they participate in the program. And 60% of them, they say that they are very satisfied, that the program is indeed incredible, had incredible impact on their life, and 29% of respondents also are satisfied, but they face some problems, but understandable that the program and the choice of housing is not always easy. So this shows the chart, 29% and a small percentage of dissatisfied. And other than that, we were asking people about the impact on their plans. We had open questions where people could keep their proposals, their feedback, and now on the screen you can see some quotes of the people who filled the surveys, but there are dozens and dozens of answers which say that people really received a chance for the future, the feeling of stability, of feeling of their house, of the home, that they don't have to relocate from Ukraine or spend years to find themselves a house. And what was a great surprise, that many people, other than appreciation and their feelings, they said that this program has to be expanded so that other IDPs receive the chance to buy their own house and to receive the emotions that people received who bought this house already. So today, these are some of the first conclusions. You've seen that it really works. There are great results, and therefore, in conclusion, our main conclusion is that the program really works. It really has a positive impact on different spheres of life. Understandable that there are some nuances, there's always something to improve, and we of course will note that in our expanded report. But the main conclusion is that the program has to be scaled up, has to be supported, so that as many people as possible who have the potential to participate in such programs take loans, preferential loans, so that they can use this opportunity. And classically, at the end of the presentation, there's the last slide about the appreciation for your attention. I want to thank you for your attention, but I want to wrap this presentation with a quotation of one of the respondents in the survey. Thank you so much. It did give me opportunity to stay home in Ukraine. We hope that our state, our partners, will furthermore initiate and support projects and programs that are aimed at, and more people will give us this feedback. Thank you so much, Victoria, for this survey. Yeah, you said the key result of this program for the future of our state. So this is now we've transitioned to dialogue. Maybe you have questions about the program and about the press conference. Please raise your hands and present yourself and ask questions. Maybe you have some evaluation or assessment, you wanted to share something. Victoria, I have a question to Madam Natalia. Would you say, what is do you see the role of similar programs to resolve the housing issues for the IDPs in Ukraine? Thank you. Thank you, Victoria. Indeed, as we said, as the previous colleagues mentioned, for us, we distinguish the programs that will resolve the problems with IDPs in several constituent parts. And we believe that the preferential loans is a great direction that allows to help economically active IDPs who have so far small revenues to have an understanding that the country needs them, that the state cares about them and provides them the opportunity to see the opportunity in the future. The study that Victoria mentioned says that it's not only the issue that is important for parents, it's important for children and for Ukraine as such, and it's very important to have an understanding of the future potential. which and this project specifically allows to resolve quite a lot of long-term problems. So not only is that there are today's problem, not only housing problems. It's on one hand facilitates the necessity for the IDPs that use these loans to be economically active, to stay economically active, to stay on the labor market, to have and people have assurance in the future and to have some stability for their children. This is a very important aspect. So for us, we believe that this product is very important. I want to express once again the gratitude to European Development Bank that supported this project. Thank you, and we hope for scaling it up. Are there any more questions? So please approach any microphone. So a question about the results of the survey and so there's a number of people who use this program who say that it's possible that they will move out abroad. Are there any mechanisms to work with these people, to continue some relations with them, the housing, their contributions, so that there is no abuse of this program in this part? Who is this question to? Anyone who can answer? Because we started with the survey, there are some people who would like to abuse. So loan agreements that are signed with the borrowers, they are long-term, up to 30 years. So relations with these candidates will continue. Also, every year the candidates will confirm their bankability. They submit information about the revenues and profits, so how solvent they are. Also, from our institution, we do the checks and inspections of the property that is in question. We communicate. We have the dialogue all the time. We do it through our regional offices and directly through Telegram channels and chats. And also want to say that for such people, we initiated the new types of support. We provide them opportunity and information where they can use other grant opportunities for developing their own businesses, to start the new startups, for supporting the jobs which they have if it's self-employed. So it's a complex approach, and the relations do not end with the disbursement of a loan. They continued until they have this loan. Still, while they have this loan. So social fairness. 30,000 people are waiting for the queue, random selection, but some people who receive the apartment does not reside in the apartment, would use this opportunity but live abroad, and the housing will stay empty. Well, most of the analysis that we do, and as I said, we do certain checks of using this property, give us the corroboration that people who use this opportunity, they do reside in those houses. Also to clarify, only 1% of respondents say that in the nearest year they plan to maybe move abroad. We didn't ask their motivation. Maybe they will want to travel for medical treatment, but only 1%. So quite on the contrary, a huge percentage of people who bought their house, stay in Ukraine, are not planning to go neither move out abroad, because it's important to stay where they want. And so there is, on the contrary, this is much less abuse. I want to comment on this aspect. It's a very important thing for us. Our colleagues from the Parallel Project did a survey. What is most important for the IDPs? To understand the assuredness of the future, and the first question, the answer is safety. So I'm confident in this 1%. It's about safety, not about abusing this program. For you to understand that we're talking about people who moved out from occupied territories or territories of active warfare. So psychological situation of people is somewhat different, yeah, from what we see in Kiev. So please be very cautious when we talk about these people. Right, thank you so much. Colleagues, we have only for one question, blitz question. Mikhail Fomenko, lawyer from Donbass SOS. It's a question to Mykola, probably. About the percentage of people who were selected as candidates for the loans and signed the contract. As far as I remember, after 2022, published information from the fund, because of the large-scale invasion, the number of people decreased because of the revenue drop, because of the war, because of moving out of their residence. They didn't want to sign purchase a contract. Well, is there now some statistics to, over the latest time, what's the percentage of the selected winners has signed purchase agreement and received their ownership? Thank you. Yes, there is some statistics. You're right to say that not all the winners that we select basically do sign agreements. There's a part of our winners who refuse to receive a loan, and the main reason nowadays is the overall war situation, is the security and safety situation. Other reasons, there are some candidates that couldn't find the housing that would be satisfactory to them. There are also those who don't have official employment, and therefore they couldn't use this program, and a number of other reasons that also prevented them from using this. As if we talk about general ratio, we can say that about 40% of those winners, or 20% of those winners, they did sign these agreements and did buy housing. Also, Ed, this is a great question, by the way. In the joint audit of Ukrainian accounting chamber and the Bundestag House accounting chamber, was also one of the issues that one of the things to improve this project in the future. It's a living program. It was created in 2019, before the second phase of large-scale invasion. At that moment, if you understand, in the queue there were 2,500 people. Now, in fact, we're talking about 1,053. So if you look at numbers and figures in the context of 2019, we have achieved phenomenal success. Almost half of those people who were in the queue, in the waiting line. But since the situation has changed, and now about 30,000 people want to have this loan, we as a bank, we also have to analyze and we have to understand where we are in this context. Where do we find some additional opportunities? How do we change the program? So our colleagues with the Bank of Europe, when they agreed, they introduced some changes, and we also will monitor that, because for us it's a live product. We never did carved in stone. So we're looking we changed some age of people who were eligible. There were stringent terms, and then we heard the feedback from IDPs that it's very difficult or impossible. So for us, it's a product that we're changing. We never say that it's the ideal product. We say that the product is targeted to support socially active IDPs. So if the situation allows, as in February 2022, where half of us had to move out of Kiev, I don't think that the fund will chase them with a machine gun. You're not going anywhere. No, of security and safety first place. If people will have to move out of the lone apartment, they will, because it's survival. They will not be thinking about social commitments, etc., etc., if it comes to active warfare. But people who went out in 2022 and even they couldn't pay for a couple of months. Then the security situation evened out. They came back and they continued to pay him back, and they asked when the program will continue, because we want to buy more. So we are in the situation where the product has designed in a different security situation for a different type of country, a different kind of situation. Now we're talking about that this is a living product. We will be adapting it. We will account for all the criticisms, because sometimes, you know, people say, I want the apartment in Pechers district or in a new apartment next to the metro station. Why do you give me the limitation? So there are two pictures from IDPs, an Obolon district and an old house in Obolon. And the person says, I want this, but you... So it's a loan for economically active people, but not for the rich IDPs. We cannot afford sponsoring like some other state programs, like buying Pechersk apartments. It's not our focus group. We work for IDPs with the average revenue that they can say not expensive, but they can afford it. Right. Thank you, dear friends. The time for our event has been exhausted. The broadcast has ended. Thank you, speakers, and thank you. Thank you, the Ukrinform agency. And see you next time with the new programs for IDPs.